All right, welcome to your very own deep dive. Today we're going to take a look at a story that reads like almost like a movie script.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
It's Snoop Dogg.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Well, get this. Our source material is this text, just called pasted text, and it puts him like right at the center of a conspiracy
Oh.
that kicks off with like this random act of kindness. I mean, what are your initial thoughts on that?
Well, I think it's interesting right off the bat because, he's such a cultural icon, right? Like you think of Snoop Dogg, you think of a certain lifestyle. And to see him kind of stepping out of that and like doing something so selfless,
Yeah.
it's intriguing for sure.
Yeah, it definitely plays with like how we see him,
Uh-huh.
I guess. Right.
Totally.
So imagine this, right? You're in Manhattan.
Okay.
It's freezing cold. Everyone's like bundled up, rushing around,
Yeah.
not really paying attention to anything. And suddenly, this man just collapses
Oh, wow.
right there on the street. I mean, honestly, I think most people would probably just keep rocking.
Yeah, I mean, you'd like to think you'd do something, but yeah, you never know
Yeah.
in that situation.
And you never know. But not Snoop. He stops. He gets out of his limo,
Yeah.
checks on the guy, calls for help, does all the right things.
Right.
And he even notices this note that the guy's clutching in his hand.
Oh, wow.
I mean, talk about like a movie moment.
Yeah,
Right?
like right out of a film. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess that note, that's got to be important, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like what's on it?
Well, it's basically this like desperate plea from the guy
Okay.
begging whoever finds it to take care of his daughter, Rose.
Oh, wow. That's heavy.
Yeah. And, just the fact that he even wrote a note,
Mm-hmm.
like in that moment, it just shows how much he's thinking about her.
Exactly.
He's in, clearly a really bad situation.
Yeah, like his last thoughts are about his daughter.
Exactly.
That says a lot about his character.
And Snoop, without even thinking twice, promises this man he'll find his daughter.
Yeah.
So, he goes off, he starts searching, and he ends up at this, like, pretty rundown apartment
Okay.
and finds this young girl all alone and super scared. I mean, this is where the story really starts to get to you.
Yeah, I bet. So what does he do?
Well, he orders pizza, tries to, like, comfort her. You can almost feel this like, protective instinct kicking in,
Yeah, yeah. So you have this juxtaposition, right? You have Snoop Dogg,
Yeah.
the celebrity, the icon,
Right.
and then you have him in this like almost paternal role.
Yeah.
Very unexpected, I'd say.
Yeah, totally. And they're sitting there sharing this pizza. And Snoop happens to find this photo album. It's full of, family pictures, happy memories, all that stuff. But then there's this one photo, and it stands out.
Hmm.
It's Rose's father, Daniel,
Mm-hmm.
with these men in uniform. And he just has this look on his face,
Yeah.
like pure worry,
Yeah.
And Rose mentions that her dad never talks about these guys.
Oh, so there's some mystery there.
Oh, yeah.
Like, what do you make of that?
Well, it's almost like this, like, window into his past, right? Like we get these glimpses of this life that he's trying to hide from her.
Right. Keep her separate from it.
Yeah, and that comment from Rose, like she's so innocent,
Yeah.
and she just says it so casually. It makes you think, like, there's a whole story here
Uh-huh.
that he's not telling her.
A hidden narrative.
Exactly.
Okay.
And just when you think it can't get any crazier, this guy shows up at the apartment demanding money that Daniel supposedly owes him.
Oh, so it gets even more tense.
Oh, yeah. You realize that Rose and her dad, they're in real danger.
Yeah.
And Snoop, bless his heart, he steps up to protect them. It's like he's suddenly become their guardian angel.
Wow, that's quite the turn of events. It makes you wonder, what would you do in that situation?
Yeah, I know, right?
Would you walk away?
I mean, I like to think I'd be brave, but who knows?
Yeah, it's easy to say, but when you're actually in it, it's a different story.
So true.
Yeah.
So Snoop, always thinking on his feet, he decides to take Rose to a safe house, like this secluded cabin in the woods.
Okay, so get them away from the city, out of sight.
Exactly. You'd think they'd be safe there.
Right. I mean, that's the whole point, isn't it?
Well, not quite.
Mm-hmm.
Even out in the middle of nowhere, the danger, it just follows them. He gets this, like, threatening message,
Oh, no.
this reminder that they're not alone. It's creepy.
So that cabin, it's not the sanctuary they were hoping for.
No, not at all. It becomes this, like, almost like a prison.
Yeah, you're trapped, but you're not safe.
And Snoop knows he can't just stay there and hide, right?
Yeah.
He needs answers. So he calls in his, like, trusted private investigator,
Okay.
and they really start digging into Daniel's past.
What do they find out?
Well, turns out Daniel was this private contractor. He worked overseas,
Oh.
and his disappearance, it wasn't an accident at all.
Oh, so it was intentional.
Yeah. Someone wanted him silenced. And the reason? He stumbled onto some really serious corruption within his unit
Oh.
and tried to, like, expose it.
So it's not just a personal story anymore, right?
Right.
It's got these bigger implications.
Yeah, it gets into, like, corruption, whistleblowing,
Power dynamic.
all that heavy stuff.
It makes you wonder how often things like this happen in the real world.
Yeah, like how much is hidden from us. Right.
Exactly.
But Snoop, he's not content with just knowing about this corruption. He wants to know, like, who's behind it, why they targeted Daniel specifically.
Yeah.
So he sets up this meeting, right, with one of Daniel's old comrades, someone who might hold the key to figuring it all out.
So we're talking like secret meetings, shadowy figures.
Oh, yeah, the whole 9 yards.
Uh,
And during this meeting, Snoop gets his hands on, like, the ultimate proof, a flash drive, all the evidence of the corruption that Daniel was trying to expose.
Oh, wow. That's huge.
Right.
So he's got the power to bring the whole thing down.
Yeah, he could reveal everything to the world.
But it's risky, right?
Oh, incredibly risky. Doing so would put him and Rose in serious danger. And that's where we leave things for now. Talk about a cliffhanger, right?
I'm hooked.
Yeah,
What
right.
happens next? Yeah, it's almost like a David and Goliath kind of thing, you know?
Right.
Got Snoop, this unexpected hero,
Mhm.
going up against these powerful, shadowy figures.
Oh, yeah. And those guys, they'll do anything to protect their secrets. But me, I'm always rooting for the underdog.
Of course, who isn't?
And let me tell you, this is where things get, like, really intense, like edge-of-your-seat stuff.
Okay, I'm ready.
Snoop decides he's going to upload the files.
Wow.
He knows the risks,
Right.
but he can't let Daniel's sacrifice be for nothing,
Right.
But just as he's hitting that send button, he realizes they're not alone at the cabin.
Oh, so they found them.
Yeah, talk about bad timing, right?
Yeah, I bet. So uploading those files, that's a big deal, right? Like there's no going back from that.
No, he's committed now, even if it means, like, facing the consequences.
Makes sense. And it's almost like by doing that, he triggers something, right?
Mhm.
Like the people he's going up against, they know he's made his move.
And they're not happy about it.
Okay.
So picture this. Nighttime, you're in this remote cabin. The only sounds are like the wind outside and maybe the fire crackling inside.
Okay, yeah.
And suddenly, headlights cut through the darkness, 3 guys get out of the car, and you can just tell they're not there for a friendly visit.
Oh, that's a scary situation. I mean, what would you even do in that moment?
Oh, I don't even know. Probably panic.
Yeah, me too. But Snoop, he thinks fast. He hides Rose in this like secret compartment, promises her he'll come back,
Mm-hmm.
and then he goes out to face these guys.
I mean, talk about brave, right? Like, he's literally putting himself in danger to protect this kid.
It's a real test of his character,
Oh, yeah.
to put her safety above his own.
And he doesn't even have, like, any formal training or anything.
So he's improvising.
Oh, yeah. He grabs whatever he can find in the cabin, uses it as a weapon. But these intruders, they're professionals, they're ruthless.
So it's not a fair fight.
Not at all.
And I bet it's intense. Right?
Oh, totally. You're, like, on the edge of your seat,
Yeah.
just waiting to see if he can, like, pull it off.
And does he? I mean, come on, tell me he does.
Well, just when it seems like all hope is lost,
Yeah.
you hear these sirens in the distance,
Oh, thank goodness.
lights flashing, and it's the investigator, along with the police. They arrive just in time.
Talk about a close call.
Right.
Yeah.
Like something straight out of an action movie.
So the good guys win this round.
Yeah, for once. I mean, it's a classic showdown.
Right.
Good versus evil. And good prevails.
It's a relief, you know?
Oh, huge relief. You're like, finally, they're safe. But hold on, the story's not over yet.
Oh, right. Daniel, he's still in the hospital, right?
Yeah, and remember, he was in pretty bad shape. Well, things take a turn for the worse.
Oh, no.
His condition, it deteriorates.
After everything Snoop did to protect Rose, to get the truth out there,
It's heartbreaking, right? Like, it almost feels like it was all for nothing.
life, I guess it's unpredictable, right?
Yeah, even when justice prevails, it doesn't always mean a happy ending.
True enough.
But you know what? They say miracles do happen.
Really?
Yeah, against all odds, Daniel recovers.
Wow, that's amazing. So he wakes up.
He does. He wakes up, weak but alive, and the reunion with Rose. Oh, man. It's like, I'm getting choked up just thinking about it.
I bet, I bet. So it's a happy ending after all.
It is. Snoop, seeing them together, he knows that every punch he threw, every risk he took, it was all worth it.
That must be a powerful feeling, you know?
Yeah, like he really made a difference.
Exactly. And I guess it shows you, you should never give up hope.
Absolutely. And here's the thing. The story doesn't end with some big dramatic climax or anything.
Oh, how does it end?
It ends with a drawing, a simple drawing. Rose, with, that childlike innocence. She draws this picture of herself, her dad, and Snoop, all holding hands under a bright sun. And she calls Snoop her hero. I mean, what do you think of that?
It's beautiful, right? Like in its simplicity, it captures the whole story, the bonds that they formed going through all that together, the impact of Snoop's actions and that innocence, that hope.
Yeah, and it reminds you that being a hero, it's not always about these grand gestures or anything.
Right, right. It can be something small, something simple.
So we've got suspense, we've got action, we've got heartwarming moments, and in the end, a message of hope.
Yeah.
But there's something more to this story, wouldn't you say? Like a deeper meaning.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, it makes you think about all those real world events,
Mm-hmm.
the whistleblowers, the government cover-ups.
The things we see in the news, yeah.
It makes you wonder how much of that is going on that we don't even know about.
Yeah, it makes you think, right? Like how many stories like Daniel's are out there, just hidden that we never even hear about.
It's like we see these headlines, right, about whistleblowers, corruption. But it's easy to kind of distance yourself from that,
Yeah, it's like, oh, that's their problem.
Right.
But this story, it puts a real face on it.
Exactly.
It shows you the people behind it, the families that are affected.
The human cost of speaking out, of seeking justice.
And it reminds you that real courage, it's not always like what you see in the movies.
Right, it's not always like this big, flashy thing.
Yeah, it's often quiet behind the scenes.
It's about making those tough choices, standing up for what's right, even when it's scary.
And it's about people like Snoop, just, everyday people stepping up, even when they could easily just walk away.
I mean, think about it, right? Snoop, he didn't have to get involved in any of this.
Right.
But he chose to help, and it made all the difference in the world for Rose and her dad.
It's like that one act of kindness. It just set off this whole chain of events.
It's like a ripple effect, right?
Mm-hmm.
You never know how your actions, even the small ones, might impact someone else's life.
So looking back at this whole wild story,
yeah,
what really stands out to you? Like what's the main thing you hope people take away from it?
For me, it's that human connection. That's what really sticks with me. This whole story with all the twists and turns, the suspense,
Yeah.
it really comes down to those relationships.
The bond between Rose and her dad.
Snoop and Rose, even Daniel and his old comrade.
Yeah, you're right.
Those connections, they're what drive the story.
Mm-hmm.
And in the end, they're what provide hope, even in the face of all that darkness and corruption.
That's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a reminder that even when things are tough, those connections, those bonds, they can be so powerful. Well, as we wrap up this deep dive, I'm going to leave you with this thought. What small act of kindness could you offer today? It doesn't have to be anything big or dramatic.
Right.
But you never know. It might just set off a ripple effect and make a real difference in someone's life.